Here we are, minimal battery, but we're at the Shasta City Park. Woo! Falling over, not used to the sun. Catching a vibe, basically. Feels good. The sun is out. The sun is out! Woo! Huh? Oh, spaceship cloud. Yeah. Woo! Look at that. Here, walking around the park. You care if you guys get on camera?
I don't care.
This is my buddy Tenzin. Known this dude for years now. And my buddy Don, right?
Gray Wolf.
Gray Wolf, Don Gray Wolf. Do you want to talk for a minute? Do you have a second? My phone's low, so.
Okay.
Do you want to clip this on?
Yeah. What do you?
Clip it on your shirt.
What do you want to hear from me? My first Sasquatch sighting?
Yeah. All right. Okay. What do you want to talk about? How long you been around Shasta?
45 years now.
Here, let's. You feel comfy
There.
where you're at?
Yeah, I'm good. If you want to go somewhere else, we can. No
Here,
problem.
Let's just face this way.
Okay.
So we can get the not super good light.
Yeah, my first Sasquatch encounter was right over there at the foot of Mount Eddy.
The eddies. Huh?
Yeah, 4 miles from my house because I live right out there. So I've seen all kinds of stuff living here. I've seen starships, I've seen beings around. I've been kind of attacked by a being before, but
What was it like?
I didn't really feel it because we were parked not too far from my house watching the stars, watching the ships going over, and then I looked over in the field next to me and it lit up, a big circle lit up in there. It was like glowing. And the next thing I know, started hearing, it sounded like somebody was walking down the road with boots on. And it was getting closer and closer and closer, and I started having a bad feeling. So I decided, well, I think we probably should go. So we're loading everything up. The footsteps stopped right behind me. I grabbed my flashlight, I turn around, there's nothing there. We get home, I take my jacket off, I've got 2 holes in my arm right here, and they were still bleeding. I never felt anything happen. And I had my jacket on the whole time, so I couldn't reach in and get something, you know. So, and our dog, whenever we would walk her up there during the daytime, she would not go to a certain spot. She would stop and she would look and start barking. Because the girl I was with said there's a portal there. And after that, I believed her, you know.
Oh, I bet. Yeah, I've had some weird stuff happen here too. Like one night, I was in my car with my girlfriend at the time, and I just started hearing tapping on the roof. Knock, 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 tap, tap, tap. And I woke up finally, and she said she'd been trying to wake me up for like 20 minutes, but I didn't hear her. I just heard the tapping. I was in some kind of sleep paralysis. And then it literally sounded like something was walking on the roof. Like,
Yeah.
like some Jeepers Creepers, Skinwalker shit or something. But so I just turned on the car and started driving. And I slammed on my brakes to see if something fall off, and nothing did. But then what was even weirder was I was looking for another spot in the back neighborhoods of Mount Shasta, and then there was these headlights behind me, and they were right next to me. But something in my being, like we both could see them, but it didn't feel right. Something in my being said stop. So I slammed on my brakes, and the headlights vanished. And I got out of my car, and there's nothing there.
Wow.
Weird stuff.
Well, that's how it is here in Mount Shasta. There's so much stuff that goes on that people don't even understand or realize, you know. There's all kinds of stuff going on here. It's amazing, actually. There's a place that I go to down in Castella next to the river, and I watch these guys. You've probably heard of them. It's called Metaphysical Podcast.
Yeah.
And they talked about the guy that came, his name was John. He was a remote viewer. And they were talking about these beings that said they were going to come out of the granite in the canyon next to the Sacramento River. So before I ever even heard any of that, I found this spot and I looked at it. I took pictures of it. I'll show you pictures. And it's a portal spot for sure. I could just feel it. You could look at it and see, because there's all these big stone rocks that are just lined up, you know, like you'd find over in Scotland or in those places. And then there's a huge tree on top of the spot that I feel like is a portal. I mean, a massive, massive, massive tree is on top of it. I'll show you those pictures too when you're ready. And so I figured that was the spot. So later on I saw that show, and that guy just confirmed it. John,
Whoa.
you know.
Yeah, that's weird. I couldn't find it again, but near Gateway, I found three rocks, huge boulders, stacked. And I was like, okay, that wasn't a human, because there's no way to even get a vehicle out there.
Yeah.
The way they were stacked was so precise, it didn't even make sense that it was standing.
More than likely Sasquatch.
You think Sasquatch or maybe Lemurians or elves or?
It could be Lemurians. Could be. I haven't had much contact with them.
I feel like they don't come up here in the physical.
Yeah. I had a friend of mine, Gar Skywalker, took us out at Sand Flat to a spot, and we did a meditation there, and he wanted us to meet the Lemurians, go in the mountain and meet the Lemurians. But what happened with me, I found my spirit guide. He was a Mohawk warrior. I met him. We were in this valley. It was all green. There was a 200-foot waterfall coming down, the river running by us. We sat and talked for a while, and it was kind of cool because he goes, I really don't have much to tell you. He goes, you're living your life like you're supposed to. You're walking the red road. So he says, you're doing great. So, but I'm going to always be watching over you all the time. So and then finally I went back out, because you go through these layers. He tells you to go through these layers, you know, and then I had to take the layers and come back out again.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Yeah, I feel like I've had lots of dreams going into the mountain. Recurring dreams.
Yeah.
Like little people, the little elf, tiny little people.
Oh, they're there too.
They guided me in the dreams into the gate.
Yeah. Well, I had an experience with the little people. I lived at a house right over here, not too far from here. I woke up in the middle of the night because I heard something walking around outside my window. And I get up to check to see what it is, and all of a sudden I hear these like little kids' voices talking, and all of a sudden they ran away and they were all laughing. And then I went back to sleep, and I woke up and I saw these 3 orbs in my window, 3 orbs on top of each other. And then all of a sudden they just took off.
Yeah, the orbs, that's something a lot of people have talked about, but I've heard that people seen less of them in the recent years.
I saw them again later, but this night they were throwing stuff on the roof and rolling off, and I'd get up to go look, and they would all take off, and I could hear them running, and they would all be laughing. So my wife was a third generation witch. I just met her at the time, so I wanted to call her and tell her what was going on, but I didn't want to wake her up. So the next morning I call her and I said, hey, you won't believe what happened. And she goes, well, they're probably trying to get you to call me because you had to wake me up, because I sleepwalked and I put a pan on the stove with oil in it and it caught on fire. I woke up, my whole house was full of ash.
Holy shit.
So it's probably they were trying to get me to call her, because I kept wanting to call her, but I never did, you know.
That's interesting, because it makes me think of this weird story my friend told me. I don't know. You tell me if you believe it, but he went to this church out in Utah, and in the back of the church was a shed that nobody went out to, so he walked way out to the middle of this field to this shed, and in the shed was a staircase, and it just went down. He couldn't even see the bottom.
Wow.
But the weirdest part was, he said at the top of the staircase was like 100 pairs of tiny shoes.
Oh, man.
But they weren't just like kids' shoes. They looked like elf shoes.
Yeah.
They were like weird, intricate design, leather bound, like cobbled shoes.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's a weird story. And then later he said he saw it catch on fire.
Oh my goodness. Wow. So yeah. And then that same property I lived on, it was a native tribe that lived there at one point called the Shastis tribe.
Yeah.
And the people that bought the property and developed it found arrowheads on there. I found a couple of areas where they sit and they would do the chips, off the arrowheads. One night I was outside and I saw this shadow go by me. I thought it was my dog, so I'm calling him, and he comes from a different direction. And I realized, well, that wasn't my dog. It was a spirit dog. And then pretty soon I started seeing the native people's spirits walking around out there, but they were just in shadow form. So it was a really strong spot, really a powerful spot. So that same spot, my roommate was stopped. Before I even had my Sasquatch experience, he got stopped coming through there in his car. The Sasquatch walked right out in front of him and stopped him. And he's Karuk. His uncle is Charlie Red Hawk, medicine man. Charlie could go out and talk with Sasquatch all the time. They were always around him. And he said it just stopped in front of his car and stared at him. Wasn't aggressive or nothing, just looked right into his soul. And then it turned and walked away and went down to the bank. So 3 days later is when I saw the one that I saw. So it was actually standing in, the meadow gets flooded this time of the year because of the snow melt out there. So I had my dogs, they were all growling and their hair was up on their backs, and I'm looking around, I can't figure out what they're growling about. I look in the water and I saw something standing in the water. So I looked with my binoculars, and it still took me a few minutes to figure out that I was seeing a Sasquatch. It looked just like a big gorilla out there, huge. It had black, it was all black, but the back of it had gray mixed in with the black. And that was the same color that my roommate explained to me that he saw. So it's probably the same one.
Whoa. That's crazy.
So I did a video with a friend of mine that does it for the Channel 3 here. We talked about the Sasquatch and my native heritage and stuff, and then he put it out there. And when I would come into town, I would run into so many people that would recognize me, and they would come up to me and they would have a Sasquatch story.
So what's your native heritage?
Cherokee, Seminole. Both
Seminole?
My grandmothers were full-blooded.
And you do some sweat lodges around here, or any type
My friends do. My roommate's mother, she's a medicine woman. She has a lodge right around the corner from my house.
Oh, wow.
Later on, we'll have one. My neighbor will have one ran by Matthew Bueno. And
yeah, I've heard of him.
my roommate's father is Jack Walking Eagle. He has he has a sweat lodge up in Weed.
Oh, okay.
He also runs the Sundance. But we're not going to have a Sundance this year for some reason. But yeah, there's several people. We just had some trees cut down on my property, and I'm gonna donate the wood to the lodges so they can have wood to burn to carry their rocks.
Yeah, I didn't know there was any lodges going on around here.
Yeah,
I knew about the one in Weed.
Yeah, that's Jack Walking Eagle's lodge there.
Mm-hmm.
Matthew Bueno's lodge is out in Montague now, but they'll bring it back this summer. They will bring it back to our house. Okay. They move it because we get so much snow at our house, it'll collapse it. So.
Oh, that makes sense. So tell us more about your experience working with those ways.
The native.
How you connect to it, yeah.
Well, it really took me a long time to really, after I moved up here, living here for 45 years, after my kids were grown and they were moved out, and I moved and I was out on my own, and I started, my daughter started going out with Josh Running Wolf, who's Jack's son. So I started picking it up from them. They started inviting me to their ceremonies and stuff. My first Sundance was out in McLeod, and so after that I went to all the Sundances I could go to, not to participate in, but to be there and help put out the energy, for the people.
Mm-hmm.
And I got chosen to smoke the Chanupa, and so I went and got it and brought it back. We smoked it, and then later on they told me that Chanupa was actually at the Battle of the Little Bighorn.
Oh, wow.
And then it gotten broken, and some little kid picked it up and brought it, and so it got passed down through the families to my roommate's father, Jack Walking Eagle. So yeah, those Sundances are just so strong spiritually. The first one I was at, I pretty much cried the whole time I was there because it's so real. Everything they're doing, it's all real. It's to the book. What they do it the right way. You know, they don't do it half-assed. They do it the right way. So.
And that's something that's really passed down too. It's not something you can just look up on the internet. And,
right. Yeah.
And do yourself.
No. You have to be trained.
Yeah,
you have to be trained,
stuff.
and you have to be okayed to do the Sundance.
Mm-hmm.
Like he gets the okay from the Lakota.
Yeah.
Because it's a Lakota-style Sundance that we do, and they'll even send their elders here to watch to make sure that everything's being done right.
Yeah,
So.
And for those that don't know, at the Sundance, it's a piercing ceremony.
Yeah.
Essentially, you're pierced with eagle talons or eagle bone through the flesh, and then tied to a tree where you dance. My friend who passed, Matthew, he was my best friend. He was a yoga and a sun dancer. So in order for him to attain that title, he had to actually dance for 4 days.
Yeah.
Non-stop.
4 years.
For 4 years.
Yeah.
And then he finally was able to go into the ceremony where they do that.
Yeah, for sure.
It's just a lot of sacrifice.
My friend Josh Walking Eagle, he's my roommate's brother. He has scars all the way across his chest and his back from piercing, because he'll pull the buffalo skulls with his back around
I've heard
around the arbor.
Heard about those buffalo
And then
skulls.
elder follows him, and they when they feel like it's time, they step on the skull and stop it so he can break loose.
Yeah. If it doesn't on its own, right?
Right. Most of the time it does.
Yeah.
I used to support him all the time. I would go out when he was getting ready to break from the tree. I would stand behind him in case he fell.
Wow.
I would be there to catch him. Because the family asked me to do that every year, so that's what I did. It was an honor to do that.
Because it's so much pain, you could just fall over and pass out.
Oh,
right?
yeah. Oh, yeah, and it happens. Well, you can imagine dancing for 4 days with no water or no food out in the sun.
Pierced through the flesh.
Yeah. So the eagle dancers stay pierced the whole time.
Yeah.
But now they have to bring them in because of the laws. The FBI, the federal agents come out and they watch to see what they're doing.
That's
So
weird.
they're
I
making
didn't
them
know
take
that.
them off at night. They bring them in. It used to be they stayed on the whole time. They stayed pierced the whole time. The eagle dancers.
There's probably still certain ones where they do. It's just the bigger ones I bet are watched to make sure no one's dying.
Yeah,
So-
well, they watched my friends. They watched Jack Walking Eagles before you could see them standing up on the hill.
Wow.
And the one year over behind the mountain, the one in Sundance there was 3 Sasquatches there. They were up on the hill watching the whole time. 100 people saw them. So because the Sasquatch, they like to come and watch us when we're out in the woods camping and we're having a good time. We're drumming, singing, all those things, not doing bad things in bad ways.
Because they're sacred beings, right?
Yeah. And they love to come and sit and watch you. You won't even see them. They're just in the tree line where you can't see. They'll come and watch because it's kind of like entertainment to them, you know, to watch.
I think there's some people who are part Sasquatch too. Because I met one. I think I was in a ceremony, Native American church ceremony, and this elder of ours, my uncle, we seen him teleporting around the room.
Yeah.
And my sister said before that, she was like, "Oh, he's a Sasquatch.
Yeah.
He's Big Brother."
Yeah.
And sure enough, we seen him get up, go outside, and then he threw up, and then he was just inside, behind him. No one seen him come in. And then he was on the other side of the room, making the fire, tending to the fire, and then he was laying down. And I looked at my sister, and we're the only ones that saw it. We were just like, whoa, what is happening?
Yeah, there's lots of good stories about Sasquatch. There's a lot around here that happened. Because after I did my video, this girl messaged me on Facebook and she goes, "I know where you're at." Because I didn't really tell anybody where I was at. But she knew for some reason. And She goes, I went out there with this guy that was with me at the time. She goes, when we went out there, this guy was agitated. He was yelling at me and yelling and screaming. And she goes, all of a sudden, out of the bushes stepped a huge male Sasquatch, upset with him screaming at her. And he just like blasted him. She goes, he just blasted him. You could feel it through your whole body. And he realized that he had to leave. So the Sasquatch made him leave.
Whoa.
And later on, they came back out, and it was a male and a female and a baby. So they came out so she could see them. And the same area that I saw, Sasquatch that I saw.
It's refreshing to hear the Sasquatch stories. You hear a lot about it, Lemurians and things like that. People saying they went to the mountain. I don't believe many of them.
I've never really had any of that kind of contact my whole time here. 45 years going up on the mountain, I've never had that contact with anybody like that.
Okay. Have you felt
Now,
anything?
Jack Walking Eagle, he saw some people. He was up there camping when he was younger. He came out of the tent because the native people say you don't go past the tree line because that's where the dead man is. You know,
The dead man.
because you can die up there. So, not necessarily die up there, but that's where you don't really want to go. They say the star people live there, so you shouldn't be invading their place, going up past the tree line on the mountain. They really disagree with people hiking up there and stuff, because that's the Wentu. The Wentu tribe, the Panther Meadow is their sacred spot, because they say that their people came out of the spring and turned into salmon, and then went down the river to the ocean. So every year they have a ceremony there now, and they go down to the river and they follow it. They get on kayaks and boats, and they take the whole river all the way down to the ocean. They camp along the way.
Wow.
So,
That's powerful.
yeah.
I didn't know that. Panther Meadow is a beautiful place. I definitely see a lot of people just acting a fool and doing their spiritual tours and stuff, and they don't know nothing about the land or the people that actually worked with it.
I do some guiding, and I take women up there because people want so much money around here to guide you. I don't agree with that because this is Creator's land. It's not our land.
Right.
So we should be offered. They should be offered some of their guides for free, but they don't. So I offer it for free. I see people on there talking about it, and I say, I'll take you for free. You know. So I take them up. That's the place I take them first. Is Panther Meadow.
Right.
And I drum up there and we sing and offer tobacco, do some prayers, drink some of the water coming out of the spring. You know, they say, the natives say, do not take any of the water out of the spring directly, because that's the mother. That's where they're coming out. They call it the mother.
So where do you take it?
So you can farther down where the water runs through, you can take it from there.
Okay.
So I always offer my tobacco and do a prayer and thank the spirits for the water. I always say,
Equal exchange. Right?
Many Wachoni,
Yeah. Water is life.
water is life. So, and I do a lot of water ceremonies myself. The last couple of months I've done a couple of them. I've gone to El Sarup, done one there. I've done one up here at the headwaters. I went down the canyon and did one down there at the Sacramento River. So,
Take note, everybody. When you come to these sacred places, you offer something, some tobacco, something sacred.
yeah, we usually offer tobacco for anything. Anything you're going to pick up, a rock, a pine cone, you offer tobacco to those spirits, and for the permission to be able to take that away with
It's
you.
interesting because I met a dude, an Appalachian dude, and apparently even the Appalachia people, they know about that. Like, he was like, I go into the woods and I ain't never get bite by nothing. You know why? Offer a little tobacco to the ticks. Offer a little meat and tobacco when I'm cutting up a deer out over there. Leave a little piece of deer, a little bit of blood, a little bit of tobacco for the bees. I don't get stung by nothing. I thought that was so interesting.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah.
I carry tobacco with me all the time. I have it in my car all the time. So, because if I get in a situation, I want to do my tobacco. If I want to pick up a rock or a plant or something, I want to be able to offer tobacco at the same
Money
time.
for the spirits.
Yeah.
Or
Really
and
sacred.
it's a line, it's a connection, it's a bloodline to the spirit.
So a couple of years ago, I had this lady come to Mount Shasta. She was coming here to get some healing, and she had been at Standing Rock in the winter for 5 months. And then the Lakota liked her so much they invited her to come to the Pine Ridge Reservation and learn. She learned all their songs and their medicine and their drumming. So she got gifted a bunch of stuff. She got honored by medicine man chiefs, everybody. So she came into my life because she wanted to come here to do some healing. So she came. She was here for 3 years, but the whole time she taught me. She taught me all about the Lakota songs, the Lakota ways, what I'm supposed to be doing. And then shortly after that, she got here. A friend of mine showed up, and he says his brother. I knew his brother's in the spirit world. He goes, "My brother told me to bring you something. You should come out here and see what it is." So I went out there with him. It was a buffalo skull. He brought me. His brother told him to give me the buffalo skull from the spirit world.
Whoa.
And then shortly after that, a friend of mine, she passed away. She was my girlfriend at one time. Her son called me up and wanted me to have her hand drum. He told me his mother's spirit said she wants you to have this hand drum. So I went and picked that up, and I actually spoke to her spirit, because I can speak to spirits if I want to, certain ones. And then the next thing that happened was these brothers from up in Oregon, a Blackfoot brother, they were friends with one of my friends, and I saw a picture. They had a picture of back in the old days with the natives, and they had like 10 Chinoopas laying there on the ground. So I just made the statement. I said, well, I hope Creator thinks I have a good enough heart to be able to carry a Chinoopa someday, to be a pipe carrier. 5 days later, they called me up, and they say, meet us at Bill Buffalo's house. We have a Chinoopa for you. So I got gifted a Chinoopa. So then I had to go with her up on the mountain, and I had to learn all about, I had to learn about the Chinoopa and what it represented. And you can't shed blood while you carry a Chinoopa, or you can never shed blood to carry a Chinoopa.
Did they take you out on the quest, the vision quest?
No, we just did it at the spot in Sand Flats. There was nobody out there, so we just did it right there.
Okay.
So, but it was pretty tough. She was pretty hard on me. You know, she was yelling at me a couple of times, and I said, maybe I'm not supposed to be carrying a Chinoopa. She goes, you're supposed to be. So she goes, you learn it. You learn the ways. And eventually, as time went on, I got more comfortable with it. So now I smoke my Chinoopa with a select few people. The ones that I feel are worthy, that are honorable enough to smoke the Chinoopa with. Because the smoke is your prayers. When you're smoking, you send your prayers up with the smoke to Creator. So that's what that is.
Well, my phone's about to die.
Yeah.
This is Don Gray Wolf. Gave us some pretty epic Sasquatch stories. If you have any links, I'll get those from you for any social media.
Okay.
Okay. Don Gray Wolf. Thank y'all for tuning in.
I'll send you some pictures of the spot that's the portal down in the canyon.
He's got Sasquatch right there.
Yeah, I went to, last summer I was invited to a Sasquatch convention down at Shasta Lake. My friend Garth Skywalker, him and Charlie Tom were good friends, and he helped Charlie Tom with his sweat lodges. So he got connected with Sasquatch through Tommy, through Charlie Red Hawk. And then whenever he goes camping, he'll be taking a picture of himself, and you'll see a Sasquatch standing in the trees behind him. One day he was doing a video, you could see a Sasquatch running behind him through the trees. He had tracks all through his camp that showed the Sasquatch tracks. So.
Well, we'll have to maybe set you up your own page if people really want to hear about Sasquatch.
Yeah, for sure.
This is Don Gray Wolf, a good friend of mine, here at Mount Shasta City Park. Plays a drum circle in the year. Blessed be.
So peace aho.
Peace aho.
Okay.